This will also be recorded, so you'll be able to access it later. But the benefit is you get to ask all the questions today. So let's get started. So let me just go here. So I have a little metaphor here in the start. You want the Wright brothers or your Lufthansa. Right now it says in canceling, but a strike all the time, the best metaphor. But you're going to reach out. So if you're the Wright brothers, you're just figuring out how to get your plane to lift up, figuring out if the wings is going to actually work, the engine is going to work, if you're going to land again. If you think about go-to-market, it's quite similar. When you're early on, you have to figure out what's your ideal customer profile, what persona, what parameters are you going to work at? Do you have product market fit, and so on and so forth. However, if you're Lufthansa, you know your product market fit, you have a scalable business, you just need to double down. If you're at this stage right now, both stages can benefit from the webinar, but you have to position yourself in terms of growing your company today. So why should you trust what I'm saying? I am the CEO and founder of Demand. We're behind Salestools, Tick Tracker, and Exact Visitor. We bootstrapped to 2-digit million annual recurring revenue. Our exited 2 companies in the past. Also joined one of the leading accelerators in San Francisco. We bought them out in the end. And I love growth. I love to help others. And this is my passion. So let's dive in. So if you think about what is go-to-market before we dive into Sales Navigator, well, you got to look at the ideation phase. Do you right now problem market fit, right? Product market fit. Or do you just have a problem market fit, meaning you're solving a problem, but the market is not really yet ready to buy yet. You might have that stage, so you need to go out and hunt customers that haven't heard about you, that doesn't come, they don't stick. So you need to work with feedbacks. LinkedIn is great for that. If you're in the transition stage where you have product market fit, well, LinkedIn is amazing for that as well. That's where you can double down on all your processes. You're getting some signs like who is buying, what are similar customers. You can start looking at your data and learn where you can double down and scale. While at the execution phase, you kind of have metrics and everything. You understand your ICP, you understand your persona, and you know when you put in one sales rep, you're gonna get X output. And that's the maturity phase. So that's like the 3 initial parts you move through and go to market. You can be in either one of these boxes. Your approach will be different, but Sales Navigator can help you through each stage as long as your product team or your offering can evolve from the current stage. Or if you're in the execution, well, then it's business as usual. It's just about producing a better transition. So you might stop for a second and talk about what is preventing you from scaling today. You're trying to scale, but haven't found the ideal customer for your product. Well, Sales Navigator can solve that for you because you can go out and test who's going to respond, how they're going to respond. So that's a great place to start. Take batches, design your ICP, design the persona, who is going to respond. Are you currently heavy discounting and renewals are down, even during a downturn? If you're solving a pain for them, you can become business critical. So that is a sign you're not having a product market fit yet. So you need to figure that out. Maybe your brand and positioning is not there yet. You don't know why they're churning. There's no clear resolution how to solve it. You have no common enemy, meaning you are right now, Salesforce going in the market back in the days, they're going out and going after SQL, Oracle. They put them as the enemy trying to do something better. So they had a clear path of what they want to achieve. Drift, when they started, they put their enemy as being, well, forms on websites. They want to have a chatbot instead. So you need to put out a clear enemy so you have a direction of your company. Customers are unsure what is the return of investment of your product. If they don't know that, if you can rationate it and they can actually measure it, well, then you might not have product market fit either. So in the end of the day, you might not be selling what you deliver right now. So those are some of the basics you have to go out and test, learn, iterate, and grow on. Maybe you are lacking repeatability as a founder. It's so hard to make repetitive tasks. You have 140 things going on. Maybe as a sales rep, you have customers calling, you have SDRs disturbing you because they have questions about the leads. and you didn't put them into CRM. There could be so many things. So you got to create repeatability into your business. Those are some of the things you got to make sure you learn, reiterate, fix, and double down on. Then you're ready to go in the market and double down on your approach with Sales Navigator. Some other things that can stop you from the product market fit stage to scale. Well, your continuous focus on single product because you have a big vision. You're underinvested, in the distribution required for future revenue growth. You have only one way to hit your number, and you don't really have predictability. You can go through this list. I'm going to send you the slides, but you're also going to think about these things. If you want predictability in your business, you got to solve the foundation first. Then we can reach over and we can talk about how do you create predictability and routine reaching out. And I'm going to give you some hints into better ways to create a connection and have a conversation on LinkedIn, not just a random, let's start 500 people connect and hope somebody is going to reply. That doesn't work anymore. Maybe for the few, but for the most, it doesn't. So let's talk about Sales Navigator. I have a couple of slides and then we do a live demo. But this is important. So if you are focusing on accounts, well, Sales Navigator has something called alerts. And it also works on people if you follow them. But basically, it's going to tell you every single day, what did this company that you're targeting do? You get alerts, you can even get them on your email. So you have something you can reach out and talk about. Maybe your ideal customer right now just hired a new VP of sales. That's a sign they're going to change maybe the sales protocol, the products, the software. And that's a perfect opportunity for you to reach out. If you sell HR software, maybe they got a new director of HR. It could be anything, but it's important to use the alerts if you are focused on accounts, meaning you're selling something probably to over $1,000 a year or 10,000. Then it starts making sense looking at the account level, account-based marketing, as many saying, call them the market. So that's something you want to start using. You also want to set up your alerts inside Sales Navigator. So you get an alert right away when somebody changed position within the same company. They engaged in a post from your company. They viewed your profile. They start a position in a new company. Maybe it's somebody you have a good relation with. They didn't get to tell you yet that they moved to another company. Hence, that's a new opportunity for you. So using alerts to get that insight, it's extremely powerful. And you go through the entire list. A lead shared an update. Maybe you can talk about that update, reaching out to them. A lead accept your connection request. Well, that's also important to understand. Now we're connected. And so on and so forth. Senior hires at that saved account, you want to know if they changed leadership. Or if some of those leads are looking into your company, you want to get an alert too. Imagine you're targeting an account, you see people you saved start looking up your company profile. That's valuable information. They show high intent. They show a time to start talking with them. So again, that's another aspect of Sales Navigator that is so important. Company news is also another important feature. For example, I see here Bilfinger Life Sciences, that accelerated growth. That been an increase in hiring over the last 3 months, headcount grown year over year. This means this is a company going that way, not this way. That means that they have budget, they're putting in budget, and they could be ready to buy from you. Denoto as well has accelerated growth. It could also be like Nil Hydrogen. They post a new article. Maybe that article is so interesting that you can reach out to that account, the lead inside that account, and say, hey, just read your article, loved it. My key outcomes were X, Y, Z. Thank you for sharing, and so on and so forth. Those are some of the small things that might make a difference when you're reaching out. They give you that little intelligence. Company insights again. Open the company. Look at the insights. I put 2 screenshots here. So basically, employee count is here, and I click distribution headcount. It's one of our customers speaks, and you can see their sales over the last 12 months, have been growing 18%. That means that they're growing the sales team. That means their product market fit. That means they're investing. That means they can keep buying more. Had it been in red, that might mean we potentially lose that client because they're going to cut costs. They're not growing. Maybe they're just panning out. We don't know the circumstances of the company, but it gives us a good insight again of what's going on. So those are some of the small insights that give you a little bit information before talking to the account. Are they actually going to be worth talking to? So let's get to it. I'm going to open up my Sales Navigator right here. I'm just going to make sure my screen is bigger so we can take a look. Okay. So once you get into Sales Navigator, you will see your alerts right here of companies you're following. I recently renewed my license, so all the old information I've saved actually got lost. So this is like a fresh account, almost like when you get in, if you're a first timer, which is actually good for the showcase today. So once you join, it gives you the option to follow some accounts, some leads that you like, and then it's going to personalize your news. As you go along, you can add more accounts to save. I'll show you that in a second. But when you go in here, you can bookmark and get alerts. So you can bookmark different companies and then you follow them by clicking right here. It's again something that is actually very important to do. You can also filter by accounts and leads. Again, something that actually matters a lot. And then you can get live alerts here, right? So it's pretty straightforward to work around Sales Navigator. So for example, out here on the right, I really like that number of employees, that you can new decision makers. I can view the decision makers. I can start them. I can also mark, I can make a note, add them to a list, unsave them if they're no longer relevant. Again, this is all something that matters in my sales process. So that's like the basic of it. So let's go in and look at what I call lead filters. So lead filters, there's a two-way street here. Lead filters is the first part. That's when you search for leads in companies. You can also search for accounts. Accounts are companies, obviously, that you're searching for, and there are different parameters like the annual revenue. So you can go in and say, okay, companies, and these are not accurate revenues. That's LinkedIn estimated based on data from public sources, and then information like their total amount of employees that are rating it out. So you can go in and say, okay, I want companies with 1 million to 10 million revenue as an example. You can narrow that down as one of your criterias. You can put in company head count, but some of the things that actually also is important is company head count growth. So you can go in and say, okay, if they're growing between 10 and 20%, again, a growth company. And you can go in the headquarter location, industry, number of followers, and the social account, selling social media management. That might be a qualifier for others. I don't really see that might be as important. Department headcount, the department headcount growth. This one I love. So also department headcount. So for example, when we sell to sales teams or business development team, we always say they need minimum 5 sales reps to be a perfect fit. And if they have over 50 sales reps, typically will fit with the enterprise products. So we'll go somewhere between 5 and 50 in the sales team. And we'll add that as another qualifier because we know this is our sweet spot, this list churn, and they fit far better as a potential customer. Then you can go in and add industries, and if they're in Fortune 500 is, and they also have a very, very bland, it's not very, very good, the technology usage that they're having. I recommend to use techtracker.io for that. They have an article, how you can do a Boolean, take that data, and you can just copy paste it in here. And then it takes all those companies and show here. It's super straightforward. What I will do here is to show you now I have a list of companies and I want to find leads in them. What you can do is you can select all and you can say view current employees. But before we get to that, I want to show a couple of other things worth mentioning. So that could be companies right now that is hiring on LinkedIn. That could be another qualifier for you. It can also be like recent activities. So that senior leadership changing during the last 3 months, they got funded during the last 12 months. Those might be criteria that matters to you in your sales process or make it easier. If you have a team account, well, then you can sync it towards your CRM, and then you can say, does these companies exist in our CRM? There's a two-way sync with LinkedIn for that. And you can also go in and say, okay, I want to save the account, so I can create an account list. You will have multiple names if you use it. and you will see them right here. So those are like the main filters that are worth mentioning. You can also save the new companies on the Save Search button. That's another feature that is worth mentioning. Now, if we go further, I can create a list of these companies because those are my target accounts. So I can say save to list, yes, first account list, as an example. Now all these companies get saved and will show under my lead list of the companies. So I have them right there. Now let's go in and find leads in these 25 companies. And you see there are over 45,000 people within those companies. So we're just waiting for LinkedIn to load it up right here. Now, obviously, I don't want 45,000 people to sell to, then I'll be shooting myself down. So I can go in and then obviously add all the filters that I truly care about. One thing I highly recommend is the change job in the last 90 days that might be relevant, but I love this one. They posted on LinkedIn during the last 30 days. This is extremely powerful to know. That means they're active on LinkedIn, they're gonna read your message, but also you have a talking point. I'll get back to that a little bit later during this webinar. I'm just gonna check here. Please use the Q&A. Is the screen resolution a bit too high? I can make it a bit smaller. I don't know if that helps. I just make it a bit smaller. I hope that helps, but use the Q&A if you have questions, please, because that's the one sitting on my second screen here. Perfect, good. So let's move forward. So spotlights, it gives you insight to multiple things. And again, I highly recommend to use that because first of all, you can see who's following your company in this list, who has shared experience with you, who were mentioned in the news the last 30 days. Again, you can talk about the news article, change the job, and post it on LinkedIn. You can also keywords and post. So you can search who posts something about sales. Again, that narrow down your target group if you're very specific, and so on and so forth. Another thing that I highly recommend is the seniority level. I do want to give you one insight. So if you focus in US, they're very good at giving away titles left and right. So they love to have big titles in the US, and therefore you want to go direct to VPC level. I'm sitting right now in Switzerland, and I see companies that are doing over $100 million in annual recurring revenue software, where the CEO, he called himself business development on LinkedIn. They don't use fancy titles the same way. They pay a lot for higher titles there. So if you're focused on other countries, you might want to make sure that your your persona, that you're targeting the right level of seniority, okay? Because it will be different from geographic location to another when you're out selling. So if I'm selling to salespeople, obviously I will go in and say, I want people, director VP in sales, and now I narrow it down to 62 people from 45,000. This might be too many. So I might want to go in and say, okay, are they in the company headquarters? They have different headquarters, different filters we can use. Are the first, second, or third connection? You can filter by that to say, okay, am I connected to anybody? Their location, industry, years of experience. You can also go in and say, okay, are the connection of one of your other connections? So you can search that. That's also sometimes a good icebreaker. You can search all John Doe's connections this way, use that filter alone and say, hey, we connected to John, just want to reach out. Again, I don't recommend that. I will get back to some of the approaches I will use when you're connecting. Another thing is you can search members of groups you're in. When you're searching from groups in LinkedIn, use a product level. But if you're in a group of 45,000 people here, you can put in the filter, add some geography, industry, or employee range. And then you can take it in batches. You can actually download all 45,000 people in that group using Sales Hub on Sales Navigator. Another cool feature. One thing that I love is this one here, profile language. So I told you I'm sitting in Switzerland right now. That's where our new headquarters are. So right now I'm selling to Switzerland and Germany. I do speak German, but it's not good enough for a business conversation today. So what do? Well, people that has their LinkedIn profile in German, obviously, they might not respond to me in English. If I cold call them, they might not respond to me either. So I'm gonna look at who has an English profile, meaning that they run their LinkedIn on English. That tells me this is a person I can reach out to in English and not German. Versus if I put in that they're in German, well, then I need to address my pitch in German because they will not be as responsive to English language versus German. So that's a little hidden feature that nobody talks about and most people do not use. So hope actually you'll take that one away. That's one of my favorite things to get the spotlight. Another thing is you can make workflows like who is inside your lead list, who is in your CRM if you have a team, Navigator subscription. Have you created an account list as we did earlier? You can search everybody in the account list using the account filter. Another thing also is you can put out or search for people. So basically you can say remove profiles that you have looked at. So if I click on Jennifer right now and I turn this one on and go back to my search, she will be removed from the list. Maybe people have sent a connection request to a messenger, they will go away. If you're out fishing, creating market, use that. You're also going to say, okay, I want to see all my saved leads. So your lead list. So for example, I can say, I want to save Jennifer. I can create different lead lists. So I made Swiss English profile as an example of this webinar earlier, showing this part, but I just didn't take all these companies. I narrowed it down to ICP and personas for me. But I will put Jennifer into Jesper's lead list. So now she's saved, and then I can use that lead list later for targeting. So another aspect is I can see similar people within the company. But if I click on Jennifer, I want to show you a few things on the profile that is also worth mentioning. And I hope that you can take away to benefit from. So once you see the profile, a few things, you can add notes. So you can write notes for yourself so you have them for later. That might make sense if you're living inside Sales Navigator. You also see similar leads, but a couple of things I care about is, first of all, if I'm connected and she has a mobile number and a profile, I'll click here and I'll be able to see it so I can give her a call, but I have to be connected. And not everybody has that visible, but again, it's worth mentioning. Another thing is I can look at relationships here. So I want to reach out to Jennifer today. I see two paths I can be going. In this case, I'll show you how I'll do it with Sales Hub. So with Sales Hub, I create this campaign. My context means I'm using the LinkedIn plugin, and I put a message, hey, first name, Icebreaker. Icebreaker is something I'm going to show you how to use now. Then once they're connected, you'll find the email, and then we'll send them an email with the icebreaker and some more text inside, have a delay. Once they're connected, I send a LinkedIn message to connect. Okay, if we don't have an email, we follow the same procedure on the left side and we can make it longer. This is all automated. Take one click, one sentence, and then you're reaching out in a personalized manner. So I'm going to show you precisely how I will do this in the case of Jennifer. So I know that she has introductions with Justin and other people here. So for example, we have some shared connections here. We don't know if she's good friends with them, but let's say Alex Troda, he's a very good friend of mine, and I want to introduce her to him. So what I could do is, and I'm just gonna also compare here with the regular LinkedIn profile, so you get an example of how the differences are. The Sales Navigator gives like a better snapshot. It makes it faster for you actually to see their profile. And a couple of reasons why is you also get the timeline of posts shared. So recent activity on LinkedIn, hire from anywhere, how to effectively find and retain job today. She shared that. So for example, if I just paste that in right here, here. It doesn't want to copy paste. That's wonderful. But let's just try that. Okay. So if I go back to our LinkedIn profile, and sorry if my computer runs a little bit slow right now, but I open up Jennifer, and you can see right here, the overview is a bit less descriptive. I get the activities, but I don't get who I have in common the same way. I just get a little bit of all. But let's say I wanted actually to reach out to her. What I will do is I will click the plugin from Sales Hub here. And I have two choices to build a real connection. So the first connection you do with a person is not about selling. It's about being resourceful. So put yourself into Jennifer's shoes. If you got a cold email from you right now, how would you reply? So I'm going to show you on my computer. I do apologize. It's overloading at the moment. I've been running too many things. Just did a quick reboot before. Sometimes these Macs are not as fast as they should, even though I have one of the biggest ones maxed out. But I'm going to show right here. So I create an automation, and I want to add Jennifer to my automation. So I call it Miami. I have so many automations here from all my demos. So I want to add her into this automation called Miami. Actually, my process is I should write the icebreaker first, then add to the automation. My bad. But I'm going to just show you. So I have two choices again. If I want to get her attention, I can say, hey, Jennifer, thanks for sharing. Love the article. Okay, so I got her attention because right now I'm going to send out something she truly care about. So she's going to get, hey, Jennifer, thanks for sharing. Hiring from everywhere. I can put like in brackets. And again, what did it take me? 2 seconds, right? So right now I'm standing out. I'm talking about something she cares about. But the better way is, hey, Jennifer, so let's see what she does. Sales crush, more team leader, recruiter.com. I wondered if I could make an intro to Jack Trotter, whatever his name was, from the list from company XYZ. I believe he could be a strong lead for you. Okay, sorry for the typos here, but you get the point, and have to spell him with a big T. So basically what I'm doing is here, I'm asking her, I wonder if I can make an intro to Jack Trotter from company XYZ. I believe he could be a strong lead for you. So basically, I'm not milking the bank up front. I'm making a deposit that I can milk later, so to say. So right now, if she's a good person and she accepts, she technically owe me one, right? Without doing it. So people, if they're generous and care, they will later come back to you. They will say, thank you, love an intro. By the way, what are you doing? Da, 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 da. And right now, instead of coming out as this salesy, hey, we do development company XYZ, we develop everything in the world, and I get these daily, right? And I go like, they don't know a second thing about sale otherwise than just sending a bunch of emails. I don't want you to do that. I want you to think, how can you provide value to your lead? How can you give them something today that you can get something back later? So either talk about what they share or deposit something in the bank with them that then later you can withdraw to a deal. So think about that. That is basically how I look at social selling on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. That is our process today, just to be frank, and it works extremely well. So I just want to show, I do believe I put that in the last slide here. So let's see here. So leave deposits rather than withdrawals. That's what I call it. This definitely will come back later. Basically is you offer an intro and then they will come back tenfold. Remember, it's all about them. It's not about you. So you have to put yourself in the head of your lead and think about them. How can you make a difference? How can you make them buy from you? How can you make them respond to you? How can you make them connect with you? Okay, so if you have a little bit problem watching the screen, again, I'm just gonna, I love small screens, high resolutions, but if this helps, I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit. I think I run -80. I hope that helps. I'm not actively monitoring the chat as we go along. I have the Q&A sitting on the other screen. So I hope that helps a little bit. So let's go back here to a Sales Navigator. I'm just going to zoom in again. So some important aspects are you get a lot of intelligence. You can search better. If you compare regular LinkedIn with Sales Navigator, regular LinkedIn, they removed to make you buy Sales Navigator, they removed everything from employee range industry. So basically, you can look into sell to. You notice this one too, this that I've been there before. Obviously, you have the same things here. Truly, I don't care what school she's been to. If she has a good job, that means she's a professional. She does a good job. Unless it's the same school, but I'm not a person saying I went to master degrees and I studied there and there and there. It doesn't really matter because the outcome of what I'm doing is what speaks for itself. If you're newly grads, maybe it can help, or if you're in recruiting, maybe talk about the school, if they went to the right school, maybe that's an approach that works for you. But this one, shared connections, and try to target like connections or connections you have of companies that could be a fit for them. It's something worth mentioning. It's a little bit more research, but if you're selling a little bit higher pricing, it definitely makes sense. And guys, please ask questions in the Q&A or chat. are both open right now. If there's any questions you might want me to walk over. The last part, so I didn't show you lead list and account list. So let's just go over that. So lead list, again, is the place where you save a list of leads that you want to reach out to at a later stage. So you might sit and do your research one by one and then add them. So you have a filter here. Again, when you want to use them later, you can deploy it under lead filters, open the search, and then you can use it, for example, in automation and sales hub. But the lead list will show you here if you had outreach activities, meaning you connect or send a message on LinkedIn. Again, you can do that from Sales Hub and it will show here. That's basically all it does. But the list is a good way to store companies you want to reach out to and have them in a safe place. You can also go and say, okay, who posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days of my targeted lead list, as well, who shared experience with me. That again, give me some insight, save searches if there are any results. So it's going to count that you created that search for. So that gives you, like, when something changes in the market, you can identify it. Again, it's very, very powerful to use. Saves account searches, exactly the same as people, just for companies, right? If there are new results, new hires, new updates, they will show you that from a list of companies that you're searching. And messaging, again, you might want to understand that this is a bit different from the regular LinkedIn. So if you basically are using regular LinkedIn and you send messages on Sales Navigator, the replies will show in Sales Navigator. LinkedIn designed the following way. Your regular LinkedIn is for your personal use. The Sales Navigator is like where you have your B2B communication with your sales. They don't want to mix it, so you can keep your work and your private life separate. That's the reason why it's sitting in here. And that's why you will have your replies coming in here and not in regular LinkedIn in most cases. That might at first be confusing. I mean, it was to me back in the days. I was like, why are people not replying? And they were replying, but I couldn't see them on regular LinkedIn. And that's also something that you might want to be aware of. And then I think that's the most important. If you have Team Link and you have multiple employees, the benefit is if you don't have a strong network on LinkedIn, like in my case I have, or in many of your cases you probably have, well, then you can go in the end of the day, you can go out and say, okay, I have 100 employees in my team And our entire network we share, meaning our depth within Sales Navigator is 10 times bigger. Somebody said if I compared Sales Hub to Skylead, I don't think we need a comparison. Skylead is somebody who came, I think I got asked first time 2 weeks ago. It's something made by an Ukrainian that then moved to Serbia or something. I think they focused on agencies. They don't focus on how do you make real connections. They don't get double verified emails. Today is not about a product demo, but I wouldn't compare an inferior product to Sales Hub. Sales Hub do so much more. You get visitor tracking, identifying leads that are on your website. You wouldn't be able to do that. We also have real one-to-one personalization. So let me give you an example of that. So this is from an older demo, but basically I'm just going to go past here. We scan the profiles. And for example, if I look at this one, I love this example. So for example, we download the error, someone to reach out to him, basically as a post that the partnered with, what did I write here? Also charging major milestones. So basically I saw this post and then I just go in and personalize it. So they get an email that is personalized. You find the email double verified because anybody using Microsoft Outlook 365, they have a pretty smart way of checking if you're going to try to find an email to send a false positive. So if you don't have the right platform behind that knows about that and build in adaptability, it takes longer to find an email for that. But then we don't get the false positive and the bounce. So basically, I'm waiting for this post to move up, but you get the point. I can go in and click right here in Sales Hub if I want to do a real personalization. But then I go in and say, for example, notice your post that your partner wants to charge you, make your milestone, congrats. Then we have, because they had a verified email, I go personalize the email, did that in the example of my last demo. Notice your partner wants to charge and make your milestone, congrats. And then I talk about the whole process. Then it sends a prospect and moves to the next one. It also shows me the technologies of the company. So we get all the technologies that present this example, using the Relic, Google Tag, top automations are far more comprehensive, and the company visiting your website. So if somebody does this, pretty superior. So when somebody visits the website, go to Sales Navigator automatically. If they've been to the pricing page and you have our JavaScript installed, go to the pricing page, for example. If they've been there, right? Go to Sales Navigator, prospect the CMO, CTO, CEO, whatever it is, 3 people download. Then you build out the entire process, like connection request, hey, first name, and this is fully automated 5 minutes after the visit. You can see if the email is verified or not. And this is how easy the Sales Hub is. Again, these would be visitors that have not talked to you, have not bought your product, and you can have the system research them, email them, LinkedIn connection request 5 minutes after they leave the website. And you don't have to say, hey, John, I know you've been to our website. You say, we've seen a surge in traffic on our website from company XYZ. Are you the right person to speak to? I noticed a couple of your colleagues also visited. I'm just trying to narrow down who it is. Can you be helpful or resourceful to help me? Is there anything I can do to help about our product? And 9 out of 10 people tend to respond for that because they have high intent. That can be fully automated with Sales Hub. So just to give you an idea, when you ask the comparison, you do a lot more. I think that goes without saying. We also have our own built-in database, but today's webinar was all about Sales Navigator. So I'm trying to, and we also have a unified inbox. But I want to focus on actually what the purpose of today's call was. I'm not here today to sell a Sales Hub, even though I'll be happy that you come and join and see the value in what we're doing. So in the end of the day, those are the most important things to know with Sales Hub. So let's wrap that up. You can set up alerts. You get notifications when somebody changed job, when a company get a new senior leader that fits you, when a lead is changing job. when a lead posts something, company posts something, when somebody that you're targeting visit your company profile, all these alerts you get in your email. That's extremely important. You can see what's happening to new companies. And I think the last thing, we didn't open the company profile. So let me just take a look at that. So basically with the company profiles, you'll be able to see some important data, which I showed earlier in the slides, showing you how many are in the team and so on and so forth. And you also see like, okay, what are tier 1 people I can reach out to, recommend the leads who are saved, tier 2, who could I sell to, employee headcount, distribution of headcount, new hires. I see a graph, how many did they hire? If they have job openings, what type of jobs do they have? So we see that they're hiring 7 in engineering, 2 in accounting, 1 in IT, 1 human resources, so not much sales in them. So that's probably not a fit for us right now. They're slow, they grow 5 months ago, meaning they were going like this, but then it scaled down. What we also like on this one is we see similar companies that is based on all us using LinkedIn. What are we clicking on next? Similar companies. So LinkedIn's algorithm is currently all the time adopting this. So often they're quite similar, the companies showing up there. So that's again something that is worth noticing when you research a company. You're also able to click right here. I want to see the 68 decision makers. I can also see outreach history for the account if I click on it. And if I look at that right now, decision makers, I can make this as a safe zone. Then I get alerts once something as well changing. I can also follow the company if I want them in my alerts to bookmark them, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the other things that I think I did miss out earlier. So I can hit alerts right here, right? And we start, and then we get him into alerts. We also add it to a list, so make sure that we are monitoring them. So we go Jesper's account list, and now we'll start having more information. If we click outreach right here, I can see I send a message to Peter. He received it. First, he got a connection request. Then I sent a message. He received it. 9 days later, I sent another message. He hadn't replied yet, but I can see all my outreach activities with this account as well. Sometimes that's also useful to go in and look at if you're targeting accounts. So I think that is all what I have to show today. So Sean, you're asking a very good question. Which plan do you need for Sales Navigator? So if you have a strong network on LinkedIn and you don't need the system to automatically sync with your CRM, because you can do that anyway through Sales Hub, then the LinkedIn core plan is the best option. And if you want it cheaper, let me show you guys a little hack. And I want to subscribe to Sales Navigator. If I buy it in US, I don't know the price right now, but basically I can change my address here. I would say Dhaka, Bangladesh. Then you get it to half price. Once you subscribe, you go in there and you change your account address back. And now you subscribe at the lower price for the same plan, but for local people in Bangladesh, as an example. So that way you get a 50% off. I think I'm personally, for our team, I'm paying about $60 or $50. I did change to Bangladesh. I like to get a discount. LinkedIn didn't want to give a discount. So, and then I changed back to where I'm right now in Switzerland. But that's a small hack you can do. So the LinkedIn Sales Navigator core plan is offering everything I've shown today. The other plans LinkedIn has a couple of other features. One is that you can, under account list, you can import a CSV file. That you need the team plan for. You cannot do that in the core plan. And you cannot broaden up to the team you're in to see deeper connections. That is like the main difference between the two plans. So if you don't need those two aspects, the LinkedIn team, core plan, the entry level does everything you need. And also if you do outreach, they allow you to send more connection requests than 100 a week. There is no fine line for how many you can do. but I can average 200-400 without any issue every week if I want, and I tested that. You can also send them more LinkedIn messages. You can view more profiles. You could open more profiles to more search, because that's what they're expecting you to do. While in the LinkedIn Premium or the regular LinkedIn, you get capped very fast. So if you want to really do a lot in outbound, I highly recommend to jump on for Sales Navigator. So Sean, I hope that answered your question. I said Dhaka, Bangladesh. I just type it here, okay? Just put that in your profile, then go in and upgrade, and then change your profile location back after. You didn't hear it from me, okay? But that's a little hack if you do want a better deal. In the end of the day, I think that the local sales team in Bangladesh, they will be happy for all the extra revenue that they're accounting for. Maybe one day LinkedIn will be like, what's going on here? But that's one thing you can do, right? Perfect. So if anybody else have more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll let you all go. I do hope I could inspire you today to give you some insights how you can use Sales Navigator better. That was my entire goal. And if you're a Sales Hub customer, I appreciate that. If you're not, we have a free version on saleshub.ai. So I highly recommend to go and test it out. You just go to saleshub.ai and you just sign up for the free version if you want to test it. It's limited to 100 contacts, and you cannot export them. That requires a paid plan. And the free version will go away soon as we're unifying Exact Visitor and Sales Hub into one platform. But we'll come with more about that another day. So thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all a good day, and thank you for giving me 45 minutes of your valuable time. Take care.